I'm making a mess. The Canadian version of button. Button. Not button, but button. Today we are going to be learning how to sew on a button, what's the difference between a shank button and a 4-hole button, a 2-hole button. How many times can I say button? 30-second button challenge at the end. Stay tuned. So this is my fashion studio. My name is Faren. This button is so pretty! If only. Okay, we really have to get started. Sewing with your hands equals sewing with love. Let's get ready with some of our equipment. This little pencil to mark where your button is supposed to go. Clippers, these things are amazing. Needles, maybe a ruler, just in case. Some thread, of course, and the star of the show, buttons. Oh, and your fabric. All right, let's get started with number 1, the size of your button. If you don't know the size of your button, get this book. It has a little table here where you can see the line of the button. Line is industry talk for the size of the button. A button chart is really good to have on file, I guess. Okay, next, I would say the shape of your buttons. You have to make sure that it goes through the hole nicely. You're not like shoving that thing in there, okay? I'm sure that you've all had that shirt where the threads just come out and all of a sudden you're missing a button. In the industry, unfortunately, the button machines, they don't lock, okay? So everyone is walking around with buttons missing on their shirt. Don't throw away that shirt. Learn how to sew on a button. With me, takes you 30 seconds, okay? So you have to watch the rest of this video because I'm gonna show you how to do one under 30 seconds. I said under 30 seconds. Let's get started with some thread. And your needle, of course. Thimble. You know, I hate this thing, but you have to wear it when you're hand stitching. I can never get this thing nicely on, so really, just throw it out. You don't need it. Wait, let's throw it that way. You need a needle that you're comfortable with and that won't break when it's going through your fabric because that will be a problem. Whoop, whoop. Right there. Okay, I like to take a really long length because here's the trick. Get this. You go through the eye of the needle again. There's a trick right there. Okay, so in through the needle again. Look at that. We have 4 threads through this thing. Clip that right at the bottom. This is another trick, okay? My grandma, she's 98. She taught me this trick. Okay, lick your finger. I'm not kidding. That's kind of gross. Wrap the thread around your finger and roll it off. Roll it and pull it, okay? Super easy, look at that. I didn't have to do anything. Give that a little nice clip so we have a tight knot. Did you hear that? Tight. I need a shirt. Oh, okay. Here we have our buttonhole, right? So you place your fabric on top, just mark that right there where the button is supposed to go. Then you get rid of this. Start from the top where you've marked your dot. Go from the top down. Okay, now we know that our button is going there. Reverse that. Let's go from the back, very close to where you've already stitched, back up through the fabric. So now we're on the top of the fabric. Place your button on top. Doesn't matter what hole. Ideally, you want the buttons to be parallel with the ground, okay? Parallel with the ground and not like crossways or going a little crazy. So once you've done that and you've aligned it, go right straight down through your fabric and onto the other side. Okay, So there we have that. And then from there, you go from the back to the front. And I like to do it literally 3 times. Because we've doubled up our thread, we don't have to go through our fabric so many times. Okay, and there we have it. Here's another little trick. Turn it onto the back side and just move your fabric aside. So go from the back to underneath the button, okay? This is where we're going to tie our knot. Pick up a little bit of the fabric. Another little trick is you thread your needle through the loop that you've just made and you pull. Oh, there's a knot. I actually like doing 2 of those just to be extra safe that my button is going to be on there. And we're done. How easy was that? Give a little clip. Done! Next, we're going to do a shank button. Shank buttons are these little things with little nubs on the back. These are good for any sort of outerwear, trench coats, heavy wool coats, anything like that. But if your wool coat doesn't have this, you need to put one on. You need a shank because the fabric is too thick for the buttonhole and it will eventually pop right off your jacket, or you will rip a hole in the fabric. So what I will show you is a little example. Jacket, please. Oh. Okay, so this shank button is holding on by a thread right now, literally by a thread. So I can show you how to fix this. And this is really cool because this side has a small little button to secure the button on the fabric. So I can show you how to do this shank with the button on the other side. So after you have your thread and your knot, and after you've marked your fabric where your button is supposed to go through the front of your fabric to the back. And this is where you attach the small little button. If I had a small little button, I would attach that right now. Ideally, you want a clear button because most standard clear buttons are flat and they are used for the inside of garments. Go into one hole of the button and do a cross stitch, like an X, across your button. So now you are on the top of your fabric. The top button, which is going to be, what color do we want? Yellow and purple. It's kind of a theme. Okay, so you go cross this buttonhole again. So making an X. Go to the back of your fabric. So now that we have our cross stitch, this is a very important step right here. Listen, it has to be finger width apart from your fabric to your button, okay? So you're holding your button a little bit higher than the fabric. This is a little tricky right now. Going from the back of your fabric to the front. And then getting through that other hole that you haven't already gone through, okay? So there. Still holding your finger in there while you go through the last hole. Make sure not to sew your finger, okay? Just be careful. Going to the back of your button here. So going from the back to the front, but not all the way to the front. This is the trick. You go into the middle of the button, okay? From in between the button and the fabric. That's where your needle comes out. And then here's the trick. You do a little this, spinning it around, and then you make a loop. Make a loop. You see that loop? You put your needle through the loop, and you make a little knot. And then you do that like 10 times. Now that you have gone around your thread, this has actually made the shank. This is how you tie it. That bunch of thread that you've made right now is called the shank. So you literally take your needle and you sew right through the bottom of the shank that you've made, and then you make a little loop, which you've been doing. Boom! Knot. Done. You have your cute little shank button. And it's secured on the back, so it's not going to pull through your fabric. This is the actual shank button. I can just show you very simply how to do this, and then we'll get to our challenge. Now that we have this, go front to back, and then back to front. And then you take your button, go through the little shank here, align your button, make sure the motif is going the right way, and then you literally go front to back, back to front. I love these buttons. Okay, really pull that tight. Front to back, back to front. Making it look good. Okay, this is what I like to do. I like to take my thread and go, take my finger and wrap it around. It gives it a really secure feel because sometimes shanks can like flop around. I like to just give it a little knot at the base so it doesn't flop around. So put your needle through and pick up a little bit of fabric, making a loop. From the loop, you put your needle through the loop and pull tight, making a knot and finishing your button. There you go. You have a nice little shank. Go! Under 30 seconds. It can be done. So get out those shirts and get ready to button them. Button them? That's a wrap for today. If you have any questions, comment below. Don't forget to subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hope to see you again. This is your fashion guru, Faren, signing out. What is the difference between a 4-hole button and a 2-hole button? I actually don't know. Does anybody know?